it's Tawny. In today's video we're going to be talking about fall palettes that I think you should probably have at this point, but also ones that you should definitely pick up because I think they're definitely worth the money. None of these are very expensive palettes because I'm just not really into buying expensive palettes. That's because I'm cheap. But I just want to talk about some palettes that I really liked and share them with you. The first one I want to talk about is the Wet n Wild Coffin Break palette, and it looks like this. This is their typical standard palette, not the like 40 or 30 eyeshadow palettes that they had started coming out with, but like they're typical what they usually do. I recently saw this at like my Walmart, I think, and I was like, man, I need to pick this up because it's so pretty. And then it turns out I have this palette and I've had it for quite some time now, so it's great. So now I don't have to go and buy a new one. I can use the one I have. I really like that it has this black in here because I feel like it can really change up your look. You can use it as like a liner. You can use it as like a base to like some glitters or some shimmers. I'm not sure if you're into that sort of thing, but it always looks cool whenever I see people do it. I think there's some nice deep tones, and this yellow, it has a little bit of a shimmer to it, this one right here, but I think it still could be used as like, you know, your outer corner or your crease or something like that. And then it has some really nice shimmers in it that I think would be really nice to use like even in summer. I think this would still be like a good summer palette, but it just like screamed fall to me, so I definitely wanted to mention that. The next one is the e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Palette, and it's in Pumpkin Pie. I'm sure you could see this coming based on the name, but it's just one of their quads, and I just thought like with the nice browns and like the warm tones, it would make a really good eyeshadow palette for fall. And it has these two really nice shimmers, although they are very similar in tones. They're slightly different, one's more red and one's more brown, but they're basically like the same thing. But you're paying like $3, so no reason to complain, I guess. But I think it could be like a nice everyday, like you want something very simple. You're not really good at doing makeup, so you just want to put like one color, one shimmer. I think this would make a really good palette. And also it would make a really good like gift or palette to give to someone younger who's interested in makeup, but you don't want to spend a whole lot of money because they don't really know what they're doing or they're just starting out. I think this would make a really good palette, and it's good quality, so that's definitely something to like consider. The next one is the ColourPop Orange You Glad palette, and I almost didn't want to put this in there because it's a little bit bright, but I think that with some of the more red and orange tones, and even with this one Sunkissed, I think you could do a really nice look with it. And you could also get some really like nice rich fall tones, but you could also do some nice like spring to summer looks. So it's a very like good versatile palette. I really like the shade Mimosa Mommy down here at the bottom, this nice coral shade. I think it can really transform your look, and you can make it a little bit more bright, or if you go in with your Peel Me here in the corner, you could darken things up a little bit and just kind of have that like gradient from dark to light. I think that would look really pretty. And there's a glitter in here and then two shimmers, and I think it's a really nice palette. It's not one that people really mention in terms of like their 9 shade palettes, but I definitely think it's one I'm glad I picked up, and I need to use it a little bit more because I think it's a really good palette, and the quality of ColourPop is really nice. I also have 2 more of their palettes, the Cute AF, but it's also called Yes Please. I don't know why it says Cute AF here on the outside of it, but then it's called Yes Please. I don't understand that, like you're confusing me, because then it's like, what's the palette's name? Like, not that I go, oh my gosh, I want to use the Yes Please palette. Like, I never think, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, it's that red and yellow tone ColourPop palette. But these are the shades in the palette. I really like that they give you this bright yellow and this gold down here, and also this lighter gold, so then you can kind of like transform your looks. You can also go in with reds, and there's some browns. This was the first ColourPop palette I had picked up, and I remember it was very popular. This one and She were very popular palettes, and I was just like, I have to pick them up. You know, I've heard really good things about ColourPop. This was like way before all of like the 9-pan palettes, like back whenever ColourPop was just coming out, and everybody raved about them. And I was like, if I want to be in the know with makeup, I need to get into ColourPop. I need to start wearing their shadows. And I was one that like, I shopped at Walmart and CVS. I didn't have a Target, I didn't have an Ulta, I didn't go to Walgreens, Rite Aid, I didn't have any of those things. So I could only go where I, you know, had, and they didn't have ColourPop. And at the time, ColourPop wasn't even an Ulta, so I had to go onto their website, and I got like a $50 gift card at Christmas, and that's how I was able to buy these, because at the time I didn't have like my own credit card kind of thing. So Yeah, I really like this palette. You can see I've gotten some good use out of it. It's one I definitely want to use some more because I think it's really nice and really good quality. And then the other color palette I have is the Mulan palette. And this is a newer one to my collection, but I think that with all of the reds in here and then these nice shimmer slash glitters, I think they're more glitters, I think they would look really nice. And then there's some really deep browns that I think could help deepen up your look. It's not necessarily a fall palette, but I figured if you had it or you were interested in getting the palette and you like the tones, you could make it a fall palette. Like, you don't have to buy a like fall specific palette. You don't have to buy something just to use it for fall. You can take advantage of what you have and like make it into a fall palette. The Maybelline Burgundy Bar is another example of something like that. There's some nice purple tones in here. This one is like slightly purple, which you don't really notice until you like use it, which was kind of like, I didn't like that in it, but then again, it's the Burgundy Bar, so everything's gonna lean a little bit more red and purple, which that's totally okay with me. But there's some really nice browns and like chocolate tones in here that I think could really help your look. And I think it's a nice one that if you're not into the orange and reds, you can go this route, go a little bit more brown and purple, and just kind of switch things up and do something a little bit different. And this is another one that, like, you know, take advantage of what you have in your collection, consider it fall, make a fall look out of something that's not really considered like a typical fall palette. I also have the Maybelline Nudes of New York palette, which isn't necessarily fall either, but I thought that these nice browns here at the bottom would be really good for fall, as well as these nice golds and reds. I think they would look really nice. And then you also have some deep like burgundy brown type along with the Burgundy Bar type like shades that I think could really like deepen up your look and give you something a little bit more like smoky-esque. I think this is definitely one that like you should pick up any other time because it's just such good quality, especially for Maybelline, who doesn't always make the best palettes, and like their eyeshadow formula is not the greatest. I definitely think this is one that you should check out. I think this is more for one, like if you like simple looks, if you want to do like a deep brown in the outer corner and then go into like a lighter shimmer on your inner corner and just do something very basic, kind of like what I do on an everyday basis, this would be a good palette to get and to test out. It's definitely one that I'm really glad I picked up and I use all the time. I almost think I need to use it more, even though it's like one of my most used palettes. But anyway, the next one is the Rimmel Magnifies Spice Edition palette, and I'm sure you can see this coming, but this was one of my like inspirations for doing this video, was the Spice palette, because you have some really nice reds in here, you have your basic white and like neutral tones, and then you also have some purples down here, so you can really do like a very versatile look. You can go more red, you can go more purple, you can go more brown. I like using this to make very neutral brown type looks, but that's just what I gravitate towards. Like if I can't make that out of a palette, then it's not worth buying the palette. Which is so dumb to say that, but that's like, that's what I do, so might as well. But I really like the reds in here. These four down here, I just think they're so stunning, and like the shimmers are really nice, and it's a very nice palette. People compare it a lot of times to the Urban Decay Cherry palette. So yeah, if you want the cherry palette but you don't want to spend the kind of money, you can spend like $10-15 and get this palette because it works just as well and it's super nice. And then the final palette I want to talk about is the collab. It's the Palette Pro Get Ready With Me palette. I think that's what the name is, but this is what it looks like. You have your deep browns, and then you have some more lighter shimmers in here. There's also this really nice brown shimmer, which would be really cool to do like a dark smoky look with this. I think there's some really nice fall tones in it, and this palette just screams fall to me. The shadows in here and like the quality of them are so nice and creamy, and like definitely not something I'm used to seeing from the drugstore. This was like $14.99 at Sally's, so it's a little bit up there in price, especially when you're only getting 8 shadows. I was gonna say shades, but they're shadows, but basically the same thing. But I think you can do a lot of like different looks. You get your, you know, like all over tone, your transition, your deep outer corner. Like you can kind of do whatever you want with the palette. But I think it's a really good like starter palette for like testing out browns and like working with makeup and just trying to understand makeup. Not so much for beginners, but more so for people that like want to try and create different looks and maybe even challenge yourself with a palette that only has 8 shades in it, to then kind of like, what all looks can I make with this palette? So that's something to think about. Those were 9 or 10. I think it's 9, maybe 10. palettes that I think are definitely good for fall. I think they're good any time of the year, but specifically for fall, I think they're definitely ones that'll give you that nice, like, yellow, orange, brown type look that'll, like, definitely make you want to curl up with a good book and drink some tea or coffee or hot chocolate and watch a movie while it rains, because it's raining in the background and in the window in front of me. But yeah, it'll definitely give you like very nice fall vibes, get you into the mood. I definitely know that I've been needing that. I mean, I've been welcoming fall this year more so than I ever have, which is kind of surprising because fall is like not my favorite. Summer's my favorite. So like for me, fall is usually mourning for the loss of summer. But this year I've been trying to embrace it, and I think by like doing more fall themed makeup looks, because makeup is usually something that makes me happy, I think that'll definitely help me get more into the fall mood. Let me know down below in the comment section what things you do to get you into the fall mood, because if it's not makeup and not like reading a book, drinking coffee, tea, watching a movie or something, I'd like to know. I know there's always like apple picking and going to a pumpkin patch and things like that, but I'm a single prickle, so I'm not going to be doing that. And I also don't even know where around me you could go to a pumpkin patch or go apple picking, so that's kind of another thing. But yeah, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell somewhere down below so you get notified when I upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!